Welcome to Stoic Courage. There are places on a woman's body no one ever teaches you how to touch, not because they're too sensitive, but because they're too sacred. They say older women are harder to reach, but what if the truth is, you were never meant to reach at all? What draws her in isn't your looks or your words, but the stillness in how you show up. This isn't a video about being impressive or seductive. It's a reminder. To truly touch a woman, you must know how to touch her soul first. And to do that, you have to become the kind of man she's never met, but has always hoped would exist. So if you truly want to reach her, start where she's carried the most and been touched the least. 1. The silent guardian, touching where she carries her weight, the lower back. At first glance, it seems like just another part of the body, unremarkable, easy to overlook. But for a woman, especially one who's carried life, raised children, or held herself together through the years, it's sacred ground. It's where she's held everything in place, where she stood strong when others collapsed, where she trembled and no one noticed. And when your hand gently rests there, so light it's barely felt, you're not gripping, you're not guiding, you're saying without saying, I see how much you've held, and now you don't have to hold it alone. Picture the moment. You're walking together through a busy street. She's just a step ahead. Your hand touches her lower back, not to claim, not to control, but like a lighthouse, steady, warm, quiet. This isn't the touch of a man trying to take something from her. It's the touch of someone who offers safety, calm, a grounded kind of masculine presence. And that is unforgettable. The man who walks with stillness knows. Touch, like speech, should never be wasted. He knows when it matters, and more importantly, when it doesn't. You don't hold it for long. You don't make it a statement. You let the silence speak. I'm here. You're safe. And for a woman who spent most of her life being strong for everyone else, that kind of quiet strength, that kind of masculine peace, is a kind of attraction she hasn't felt in a very long time. 2. Where time rests and memory awakens. There's something sacred about the nape, not because it's overtly sexual, but because it's where time lingers. This is the place where years gather, where hair grays without fanfare, where perfume meets skin like ritual. It's exposed, vulnerable, yet rarely touched with meaning. Most reach for it carelessly, as if it were just another place to provoke a response. But the man who truly sees it doesn't touch it to excite. He touches it to remember. A soft graze, a slow fingertip when leaning in for a goodbye, a silent moment when brushing away a loose strand. That's enough. Because this isn't about intensity, it's about intimacy. The kind that whispers, I see the woman behind the years, and I'm not rushing past her. The Stoic doesn't force affection. He offers it the way one offers a prayer. Deliberate, still, reverent. That's what the nape responds to. Not hunger, but presence. 3. The gate she built and who she lets in. Some women don't raise their voice. They cross their arms. It's not an attack. It's a defense, one perfected over years. Folded arms are not always resistance. Sometimes they're armor forged in silence. The world has made her careful about who she lets close, what words she believes, and how quickly she opens up. And here's the part no one tells you. The more you try to get in, the more she fortifies the gate. But a Stoic doesn't knock loudly. He doesn't beg to be let in. He just stands, quiet, rooted, grounded, until the silence shifts, until she opens the door. This isn't manipulation, it's maturity. Because when a man no longer needs to convince, his very presence becomes the invitation. And when the moment comes, when those arms unfold not out of pressure, but peace, it's not just her body that's opening, it's her trust. And that is never given to those who chase. 4. Where her stories sleep. There's something about the hands. People forget how much they hold, not just objects, but memories. Every line, every mark, every freckle, a silent journal of what's been built, broken, lost, endured. Most never notice. Too busy chasing what's loud, they miss what's quiet, what's sacred. But in rare moments, when the world slows down, a simple act like holding a woman's hand can speak louder than anything scripted, and not just holding for comfort, but holding with presence, with slowness, with a kind of listening that has no sound. That's when something shifts, because a hand is not just skin and bone. It's the place where she's written love letters she never sent, held people she's had to let go, and worked through seasons no one else saw. The man who rushes will only feel fingers. The one who pauses might just feel her entire life. 5. Eyes that forgot how to believe. There's a difference between being looked at and being seen. Eyes age, yes, but they also carry years of watching people come and go, of seeing promises made and broken, of learning when to soften and when to guard. Eventually, they stop looking for what's real because real stopped showing up. That's why when someone stares too long, it doesn't feel flattering, it feels invasive. But in the rarest of moments, when someone simply stays, without demand, without performance, without needing her gaze to mean anything, something shifts. It's not the eye contact itself, it's the space created around it, the silence that says, "You don't have to be anything here, just be." In that stillness, something returns, not attraction, not validation, but trust. And for someone who's learned to survive without it, that is more seductive than any compliment could ever be. 6. The mind men rarely touch. Everyone talks about the body. Few talk about the mind, even fewer. Listen to it. There's a part of her that doesn't crave attention. It craves recognition, not the kind that flatters, but the kind that asks without trying to fix, that listens without rushing to respond, that hears without assuming. She's been in rooms where her opinions were tolerated, but rarely welcomed. She's spoken thoughts that were brushed aside, not because they lacked depth, but because the listener lacked patience. And here's what most never understand. When a woman feels heard, truly heard, her walls melt without touch. Not because she's impressed, but because she feels safe. There's no performance here, no rehearsed lines, just silence between two people who aren't trying to win the moment, but to understand it. And in that understanding, there's something quietly magnetic, because where most only see a beautiful face, the rare few see the architecture of thought, and they don't rush in. They walk slowly, because they know they're entering sacred ground. 7. The moment she thought didn't exist anymore. There's a kind of attention that doesn't feel like attention at all. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't chase. It doesn't seek a reaction. It just stays, fully, quietly, undistracted. For someone who's used to being looked at, talked to, touched, but rarely felt, This kind of presence is unfamiliar, almost unsettling, because it doesn't want anything, and that's what makes it powerful. It doesn't pull her into a story. It gives her space to breathe, to exist, to just be, without adjusting, performing, or protecting. That's what makes her lean in. Not the pressure, not the game, but the absence of both. And when that happens, when someone stays in the moment with her, not trying to escape it or fill it with noise, she feels something return. Desire that isn't rushed, connection that isn't demanded, a memory of what real presence once felt like, and what she thought she'd never feel again. Every place she responded to was never really about her. It was about how present you were, how still you could be, how deeply you could see without needing to reach. In the end, it's not the touch that changes her. It's the man who no longer needs to.